Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to OWCC 2024, and today is day two. Day two. So wherever you are, I just want you to let us know where you are joining us from. Say your name, basically in the chat box. Just type your name and the location you are joining us from. Let's keep it rolling. Your name and where you are joining us from. We also have volunteers on the platform that are going to help you, do some adjustments wherever necessary. Try to make sure that your name is the same name that you used yesterday, and it's also reflecting the name that you want on your certificate. Some people use iPhone, some people want to use their first name and all of that yesterday. So it's going to be a challenge for you and also for us if you just use maybe iPhone or Samsung or whatever name you are using. Try to change your name. You already have the permission to do that. You should be able to rename yourself. So if you don't know how to do it, just send a message in the chat box that I don't know how to do it. Can somebody please help me to rename myself? And somebody's going to do that for you. We have volunteers there, but you should also be able to do it from your end. It's very, very easy to go out from there. So thank you so much for joining today. Let's move on to business. So I'm going to call on our wonderful volunteer. Let me just make sure that we are on course from the other side of the world. So Salome, special volunteer. Salome, if you are there, please unmute yourself and give us our welcome remarks. Let me try to find you here. Salome, I can see her online now. Okay, so let me see who's available. Salome is not here for now, so we're going to have just going to be abrupt. So this person I'm going to call. Oh, Francine, you can just go ahead again if you are in a better position. Francine, if you are there, please unmute yourself and give us our welcome remarks.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Okay. Good evening, CEO. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. By names of Alvegas Francine. Dear participant, we are delighted to extend a warm welcome to you as a participant in our online winter computer concepts OWCC 2024 training program. On behalf of our dedicated team, we commend your enthusiasm and commitment to extending your knowledge in the existing field of computer science. Over the course of this program, we aim to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of various concepts and topics that form the backbone of computer science. Whether you are a beginner eager to dive into the world of coding or an experienced professional seeking to enhance your skills, we have designed this program to cater to learners of all levels. Our team of experienced speakers, industry experts, and passionate educators has meticulously curated their materials, among others, to ensure a well-rounded learning experience. By the end of this training program, you will have a solid foundation in fundamental principles of computer science and be equipped with a practical skills necessary to tackle real-world challenges. Once again, we welcome you all on our Day 2 of OWCC 2024. You're most welcome, and thank you all for joining.
Okay. Thank you so much, Francine. Thank you so much for coming through for one of our volunteers, Salome. So now let's take overview of TIT. I'm just going to play this video and then we move on to the next part.
Data Innovative Tech, DIT, with the color representation of green, blue, and white. It was founded in 2018. It is our vision to use technologies to transform lives. There are lots of great minds out there, but the opportunities to learn and grow haven't been presented to them. DIT will use technology to provide career guidance, personal development, national transformation, tech events, and much more. DIT is operating on these 4 pillars: develop, build, connect, and impact. These pillars can be applied to individuals, groups, companies, nations, and society at large. Activities of TIT since its establishment have been: 1. Personal development of the founder in terms of higher education and networking with great minds. 2. Producing educational videos about computer science or tech, networking, windowing, programming, IoTs, web development, etc. These videos are being uploaded to DIT various social media platforms like WeChat, Facebook, YouTube, etc. 3. Organizing special classes or tutorials for individuals among others. 4. Web development projects. 5. Conducting global webinars, which are done during the winter and summer seasons, and many others. The prospect of TIT is to establish a free online learning platform and technical schools throughout Africa and the world. The takeaway for the audience are: 1. Exposure to a certain domain, some might be in a state of dilemma. 2. Career or educational guidance. 3. Hands-on from the speakers, practical tips, tools. 4. Connections or networking with like-minded people within the industry. 5. Certification. 6. Future partnership. DIT is open to partnership for the betterment of humanity and society. We can only have a minimally criminal-free environment, job opportunities, small businesses, entrepreneurship, and a vastly growing economy when the minds of young people are geared toward finding solutions through the use of technology. Where there is a lack of creativity and innovation, the nation and its people are doomed to stagnation and economic hardship. So, join us at TIT as we develop, build, connect and impact.
Okay. That was the overview of TIT. And if you are just joining us, I want to say welcome to Day 2 of OWCC 2024. So let's move into some other remarks that I have from an end. Number one, I think some of us have registered for this IEDE 2024. The guest speaker of this program, he's the one running this other program in partnership with Tsinghua University here in China. And his program would be up by next, I think in March. So you're encouraged to register. Just scan the QR code here, and then you can be able to register. I will later on share the flyer in the WeChat and the WhatsApp group. So if you have not registered for the program, you can register. And for some of you that are interested in doing group projects at this program, you can also be able to do group projects and collaborate with other people. So it's going to be in twofold. One aspect is going to be just the speakers and sharing their experiences and stuff. And the other part of the program is group projects. So if you're interested in doing that, I think it's going to run for 1 month or maybe 3 weeks or so. So it's a long, very long program. You're encouraged to also register and go through. The next thing here that we have for you is just to alert you or have you informed that Openai University in China have started the admission process. So you are encouraged to apply, and it's the same university I'm attending, and many of other people that are on this platform are also attending Openai, so you're also encouraged to apply. And if you want to apply, use the link that is above And also, if you want to read more information about the program and other things, you can use the second link. If you are asked for a recommender, because when you're filling in the application, they ask you maybe who recommend you and all of that, feel free to use my name. And if you need other information from me, just send an email, or you can find me in either of the WeChat group or the WhatsApp group. And just let me know. I'm trying to apply what I need to use your information as my recommender. So just in case of anything that mission office have, they can also reach out to me if I know you, or probably if they have some other things that they want to clarify about you, I can also be able to let them know, or I can also connect you with them. So this is the view of the campus. There are 3 campuses. This one is in Jiangning district. This one is in Changzhou. There's another one in Gulou district. So it's a very beautiful university, and I can recommend anybody to attend or to apply at Hoha University. If you still have further questions about this, just reach out to me after this program. You can find me in the chat room, or you can find me by sending an email. So for some of you that joined earlier on, I was playing the music from a Bosco. He was on our last edition, and he will also be here on this edition, basically on the last day, just to give us a little bit of his music, and also for us to have that experience of social connection as we go through this program. So he'll be joining us the last day. If time permits us, we're going to play one of his music. And also you are encouraged to go there, just go to YouTube and search for Bosco _LRB, and you can listen to some of his music. And I encourage every one of us here to also subscribe to his channel as he keep producing quality and sound music. We have so many people that register for this program. Yesterday, we have more than 200 persons that join us. Currently, we have more than 160 plus persons on the platform currently. And many of you here, the majority are students, and some of you are employees and different kind of people. So, it's a cross section it's a cross domain. So we have different set of people. It's just that many of us here are students. So that's why many of the things we're going to be doing or talking might be in line with you. And also, I want to appreciate all of the volunteers that sign up for this edition. And I've been working tirelessly for the success of this program. Francine, Ahmed, Miata, Stanley, Nakili, Jala Gibson. He knows what I'm calling him 3 times. Aka Shemeni, Emmanuel, Tina, Hosan. These are wonderful people that are volunteer or giving up their time to make sure that this program goes on successfully. Joan, Kaju, Salome, Wisa, a very hardworking man there in Liberia. Delphine, Magnus, Agnes, Flomo, Daniel, Topa, and the last set of volunteers, Nyimpan Jalate, Joseph, Evans, also another hardworking personnel as well. Abdullah, Thomas, Maliki. These are all wonderful people. So yesterday I showed you how the certificate is going to look like. I don't know if some of us were here or not. Sorry, let me just see if I can find it. The design of the certificate is already up. And also as a volunteer, you're going to get, so the certificates are already here. Sorry, let me find something else. The certificate already here, and then if you check this guy, so these things are going to go for the volunteers, and on our next edition, when we are calling for volunteers, these are things that probably maybe should encourage you to sign up. You can use it as your mug, you can use it as whatever thing to put your juice in it, or whatever you have for it. So all of the dedicated volunteers, they are going to get one of these plus whatever thing we have, certificate and every other thing that we have for them. And also thanks so much to Laban, to Mohi, also to Chris, and to every other person, Mia, for their support towards the sources of this program. Thank you guys so much. So when a certificate is issued, let me see if, okay. When a certificate is issued, you can also visit our website, titnetwork.org/certificate verification, or you just come to training, and right on training, you will see certificate verification. Or immediately you log into the website, you also see a place there that can tell you to click on to verify a certificate. So you just have to enter your certificate ID in the box that say enter certificate ID, and then it's going to let you know if actually we gave you certificate or if actually you were part of the program. So yesterday we had Abel V. Masele. He spoke on coding in the age of artificial intelligence, showing some light on different AI system as well. But today is going to be very interesting, and I'm so excited about the speaker of today. We'll get to know him very shortly. And moving on, the speaker of day 4, he already sent me a link. He said he wants the participant to download a software that he's going to use for the practical session during his presentation. So I'm going to share that link maybe later on during this meeting or in the chat box, either on Tencent, on WeChat or on the WhatsApp platform. I'm going to share the link so that you can download the software. At least you can be able to collaborate with him when he's carrying on his presentation. So tomorrow we have another person speaking. Probably they just keep that secret. So let's move on. So the certificates are ready, and these are the design of the certificates. And you can see for different categories like the speakers, volunteer, and participant. And on your certificate, you have your certificate ID. So you can use that ID to verify your certificate through the website. Maybe your employer or another school you're applying to, or whosoever you are showing a certificate to, probably they having some other challenges or they want to verify, you can now refer them to the website. The website is also on a certificate. You can now visit the website and verify a certificate or prove that you actually attended the program and TIT gave you a certificate. Because it's obvious somebody might go and forge a certificate or impersonate, and the only way that you can verify if actually we give that person a certificate is to use the website to verify by importing the ID. And the website URL is titnetwork.org. And if you want to send us email, you can use admin, ADMIN, @titnetwork.org. It can be about the whole application. It can be about any other thing that we mentioned on this program. If you have any concern, you can send us email using that email that is above. Some of you are not in the WhatsApp group yet. So the attendance for yesterday was shared there, and it was also shared in the WeChat group. So some of you, probably you didn't see your name, or like those in the WeChat group, I think 3 or 4 persons have some difficulty in seeing the name, and we were able to rectify that. So if you are not in the group, we'll not be able to have an interaction with you if you're not seeing your name. So in the end, you'll be like, I attended all of the program, but then these guys never gave me a certificate, or they say I missed all of the days. So please try to join the group. If you want to join the WeChat group, you can scan my WeChat QR code, and I'm going to add you to the group. As the meeting is ongoing, I'm going to add you to the group. Also, you can check the YouTube channel for TIT. The video for yesterday is already on the YouTube channel. So you can go there and watch the playback. And we also encourage you guys to subscribe. Thanks to Amandu and a few other people here that subscribe. Once you subscribe, we get notification about your name and everything. Thank you so much for your support. And also on Facebook, you can check for TI Innovative Tech or TIT or Niche Technology. And you can also follow our Facebook page. Okay, so check the Facebook group and the Facebook page. The video also, the link of the video is also there, and every other thing we have, we also share on all of these pages as well. So please show us love by following. You are not paying for this program, so the only thing you can do for us now is to at least follow whatever platform we have so that we can grow our audience and reach out to more people. So without much to say, let me make sure that the speaker is here. Let me just verify that our speaker for today is here, then I can call a volunteer to, okay, the speaker is here, I can see him. So Daniel, if you are there, please get ready to introduce our speaker. And after Daniel introduce our speaker, the next voice you're going to be hearing is the voice of the speaker for today. Let me just make sure that I have them there. What is Daniel? Okay. So Daniel, you can unmute yourself. I've just given you that permission to do so. And after the speaker session, that's when we're going to take the attendance. So if you leave in between and you're not capturing the attendance, please know that we want to take attendance after the speaker's presentation. And at the end of today, we're going to be sharing additional website or AI websites that you can use to boost your productivity. So after that, we call it a day. But let's hear from Daniel what you have to tell us about our speaker for today. Daniel, are you there? Daniel, you can unmute yourself. I'm not, if you are still muted. Daniel, you're still muted. Check, you get a notification to unmute yourself. Okay, let me just open it for everybody and then so that you can. Okay, go ahead now, Daniel. Daniel, you should be able to proceed. Can anybody try to?
Okay, I got it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you can go ahead, Daniel.
Okay, next slide. Okay, good morning, guys. Good evening, good afternoon, good night. It's an honor to be the one introducing today's guest speaker. He is a computer vision and machine learning lead at Robotics. He will be speaking to us on the topic experiences from building large language model apps with Openai API. And ladies and gentlemen, our speaker is no one else but Mr. Tianyi Pan.
Hello,
Thank
is
you
this
so
my
much,
cue?
Daniel. Yeah, Tianyi, you can go ahead. Welcome. So please give
Okay,
our speaker standing ovation in the chat box. Just welcome our speaker. Yeah, you can go ahead, Tianyi.
thank you. So I'm gonna share my screen, and am I able to also share my video? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you
Actually,
should be able to
I
do that.
cannot I cannot share any of those. So I think you have to elevate me to a co-host or something.
Okay, you can go ahead. It's there now.
Let's see. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna share my screen first and then also pop up my video for you guys to see me. Hello, guys.
Great.
Yeah, let me just start the presentation. Okay, yeah, thanks, Daniel. Thanks, Olano, for the opportunity to speak to you. And most of all, thank you guys, everyone, for participating in this event. I'm really excited to see uh, I I caught a little bit of the intro in the beginning, and you guys come from all over the world. So yeah, good evening for those who are in the Asian time zone, morning who are in the European or African time zones, and those brave ones coming from the Americas in the middle of the night or early in the morning, somewhere there. So congratulations for making it. I'm definitely gonna try to give you guys a worthy presentation. So as you can see from the title, I've actually color coded some keywords. We'll be going back to them a little bit during this presentation. So I'm actually going to deconstruct all these words and what they mean. So yeah, let's just jump into the tonight's agenda. And this is going to be like an hour-ish presentation. I'm probably going to speak about 50-ish minutes. I try to control that timing. And the rest of the time we can use for question and answer if you guys have anything to ask after the presentation. So and I don't have my timing is flexible, so even if we sort of overrun the time, it's okay. Just also for you to know all I know. And yeah, let's just go through or actually before I'm gonna give a more specific introduction about myself, I just wanted to start with a story. You can see here in this screen that I shared. This is like a Sputnik satellite from the 50s. And it's it's the first human satellite that was launched into space. And if some of you might know, I'm sorry, was there a comment? Sorry about that.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, some of you might know Kai-Fu Lee or Li Kai-Fu in Chinese. In his book AI Superpowers, he mentioned about an AI Sputnik moment for China. So this talk is all about artificial intelligence. But what was the real Sputnik moment, the actual Sputnik moment that happened in the 1950s when the Soviet Union launched the first satellite into orbit in the whole world ahead of the United States, which was obviously, as you know, locked in this kind of space race against the Soviet Union. And what Kai-Fu means in this Sputnik moment means a kind of awakening, because that's when the US awakened that they were losing. They were second in this race, and then they kind of picked up the speed and raced to the moon, right? Obviously, we know what happened then. But what Kai-Fu means as a Sputnik moment for China in AI was when Google DeepMind's AlphaGo, the robot that could play the Go game, the tabletop game, it beat the Chinese Go grandmaster called Ke back in 2017, in May 2017. So that's when China was sort of awakened, because China was thinking, okay, we have this super grandmaster who nobody managed to beat, but then this AI comes from Google, an American company, and just wipes the floor with the Chinese grandmaster, right? And actually, I'm gonna also talk about a third Sputnik moment, which is a personal one for me, because that moment happened about a year before this uh, Google and Chinese Go grandmaster moment. Because back in 2016, a year before that, already AlphaGo beat the Korean grandmaster. And if you remember, that was like all over the news. Like he was the first grandmaster who was beat by AlphaGo, and only after that was the Chinese Ke. So This was one of the sort of breakthroughs of the artificial intelligence. And that news, the whole thing caught my attention because, I saw in the introduction, like most of you guys are students, but there are also some people in the industry. So my background, if you will, let's go into this. So currently I worked as a computer vision and machine learning engineer, a senior one here at Robotics. I've been here almost 5 years. This 4 years is not my tenure. It means at that time, a few years ago, company was 4 years old, but now we are actually 7 years from founding, and we are a. Actually going to talk a little bit more about the company, so I'm not going to sort of delve too much into this in the beginning. What I'm going to say here is, on top of that, recently, actually, in the recent 1 year or so, I've been doing a lot of so-called side hustles. And this Pan AI is basically a name I just gave myself sort of to make some projects with. It's not really a real company, but you can say that I make some side hustles with this under this title or brand. And many of the topics today, because they are LLM related, machine learning and large language models, I've done those side hustle projects, not part of my day job, because as I can tell you later, we're actually not focusing on this part of the new AI. But actually, so coming back to this um, DeepMind and Go player thing. So actually, before I was in tech, I used to be a film producer and a product manager at an e-commerce company, and even like a interim CFO there. And I was also like, when I was doing film and animation, I was in this company called Rovio, which made Angry Birds. And that's because I was born in China and I grew up in Finland. And Rovio, this company that makes Angry Birds, is actually a Finnish company in Scandinavia. So I grew up there. I was in that company before I moved back to China. And actually, like as a small side thing, like in Finland, when you grow up, you actually have to go through army. So I just put in a picture. This is like almost 20 years ago. This is like 2005, I think. Yeah, 2005. So almost 20 years ago. I think most of you are students, so many of you might not even be 20 years old. So this is a very old picture. So you might be wondering, how did I became like from this kind of film producer, animation producer. Uh, this picture on the right actually is from Shanghai Film Festival back in 2008. And this gentleman here is none other than Sir Danny Boyle, English director, most known for example, Slumdog Millionaire or Trainspotting. So I happened to meet him on the streets in Shanghai that year. So how did I become from film producer into this other role where I was sharing stuff like today, sharing with you about applied machine learning and other things, AI. Um, Actually, so the why part, I think you already know. It was because of the DeepMind and AlphaGo, and that's something that sort of sparked my inspiration that, hey, I think AI is something very cool and I want to learn about it. But now, like, how do I make the career transition? Some of you who might be students, maybe you are studying something else than AI, but you are maybe thinking about going into AI later. Maybe this is very useful for you to know, like how I did the career transition, or the few other people who are now working, but not in AI or not in tech, and are thinking about joining AI. Um, Maybe this is also useful for you to know what happened. So Yeah, let's go through like how I did that. And the year was around 2016. That was when the first AlphaGo match was played. And back then, there wasn't actually very many resources online. So nowadays, you guys are lucky because there are online courses everywhere. And for example, this great OWCC, which is totally free, it's a very good resource. And there are other resources I'm gonna talk about. But this is one of the so-called classic machine learning courses, which is led by Andrew Ng on Coursera. He's, of course, a co-founder of Coursera, and also at that time he taught at Stanford University. But he's also like a very special guy because he's both ex-Google and ex-Baidu, like the search engine in the West and the East. And now he has his own deep learning AI organization, which is also focusing on education. But there actually was a big problem with this classic course because it's so old that the language they were using is called MATLAB or Octave. Many of you might not even know what that is because obviously today most of the AI programming is used with Python. So what happened then was immediately after I took this course, I had to brush up my Python skills, which I did on Udacity. This is good because this was a totally free course. And even a better thing is it ended with, this course is pretty short, but the closing project was a web crawler, which is something that can automatically go online and browse the web and read some data from a website, which lead to my first hobby project, because I used to be in the filmmaking business, so like being a film producer and stuff like that. So I was very curious if I could train this kind of AI model to predict box office revenues for new films. And, back in the day, there was a website called boxofficemojo.com. Some of you might have heard about it and even used it if you were interested about box office revenues. And the good thing about that website was it listed every new movie that came out every week. So it refreshed every week and it published all this data freely online. But later it was acquired by Amazon and IMDb. So after that, they stopped publishing the data, and therefore I wasn't able to update this bot. But actually, what I was able to learn from the data was that, as you can see from this UI, which I made with the help of my colleague back then, because I didn't know anything about front end development. But he helped me make this beautiful form which you could fill with information like which studio, what is the length, what is the genre, what kind of actors, etc., etc. And with that data, it could predict what kind of revenue your film would get on the first weekend. So so that was kind of cool. And I even later made a Twitter bot about it. And of course, after they got acquired after 2019, I wasn't able to get more data, so I had to stop publishing it. But you can see that, first it would predict some opening films of some week, the box office revenue, like $24 million, $27 million. And then after the movie played for one weekend, it would then post also automatically the actual results. So let's say the first movie was way off, like 37 million versus 24. But then this other film was pretty close, right? 26.8, only 200,000. So yeah, like it could be like hit and miss. But it's still very cool to like work on as a first project. Um, and then my second hobby project, uh, that was also around 2017, December. So this this scene you see is from a WeChat mini game. Some of you might remember. It's a game where you have to press the button on the screen to jump on the next block, and because of the distance is different, it's random. The time to press the button is also different, and the longer you press, the further you jump. So it's all about optimizing. But the problem was, um, I was really bad at playing this game. I totally sucked. I could play until maybe 70 points, 80 points until I died. And then I was seeing like on the leaderboards, all my friends were going over me everywhere. And I was so angry. And I wanted to beat all my friends who were beating me on the leaderboard. And 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 so I was thinking like, hey, maybe I could because I was learning to do this machine learning and learning, for example, computer vision, for example, deep learning, how to do like GPU acceleration. So maybe I could build something to help me beat that game. And at this point, I was already quite familiar with, Python and stuff. So I didn't have to take any more courses, but I still needed help. So I went to YouTube. There's a lot of good free tutorial videos. This one I used a lot was a video series about someone building an autonomous driving simulator using the video game Grand Theft Auto. So they were showing that, but I was learning how to capture the video from the game, and I converted what I learned into capturing the video of this other game, right? This WeChat game. So kind of using what I learned in one place and then apply it into a different problem. So I was able to build, of course, during the process, there were some problems. And at one time, I had to actually go into this very random chat group and ask some advice that I didn't know about. So as you can see, it's very super technical question about how to, form my training data. But someone actually in the group was able to help me. And actually, he used to work at Microsoft, and he left and founded a startup, a computer vision startup, and he helped me solve this problem. And I eventually created a bot that could play the game indefinitely, so almost didn't die. And that's how, when I left it overnight to play and I went to sleep, and the next morning I found it had got over 200,000 points. So that at that point I was, okay, I'm done. I've beaten every other I've beaten every other friend in my leaderboard. Yeah, and that was a cool project also. But life takes you to random directions, because it turns out this guy who helped me in the chat group, after I went back to the chat group and showed that, okay, my project is done, um, he invited me to show this project to him and his CTO. And he happens to be the founder of Globotics. So, by being active and reaching out in these kind of random groups and sharing, I was able to connect with like a startup founder, and we started talking about joining the company, and of course, like a few years later, this happened. But I had to start all the way from being a newbie because I didn't know much about actual software engineering, programming. So yeah, but it was still like I'm almost now 5 years been working in this company, and I've learned so much like every day. So it's very inspiring to start at very low level as a newbie, and then all the way coming to becoming a senior in our engineering group in the computer vision and machine learning team. So yeah, I'm very happy about, and I'm gonna just use a couple of quick words about what we do before we go into the main topic of today. So we do like a business to business computer vision solutions for these two specific industries, as you can see, from wind industry to offline retail. And you might think that, okay, these two industries are totally different. What's the connecting thing between them? So that's the computer vision, actually. So in both use cases, we have technology that use image recognition and similar kind of processing to from these pictures that either like you can see a drone is taking from the wind turbine, or if you're in the retail, we don't use drones, but people with their smartphone can take photos of the shelves, and we can recognize all kind of data from the products. So on both industries, the technology is similar. So that's quick words about my background, actually, how I went from like a film producer and made a career change into being now computer vision and machine learning engineer. So let's delve into the main topic. And as I said, the second part of today's talk is about deconstructing this the title of my presentation. So I put all these colors like large language model, LLM, and apps, and OpenAI, and what is an API. So let's go through one by one. And maybe let's first start with the large language models, because all year 2023, so all last year, this was like the huge topic. I know you talked a little bit about like AI and programming about this, so I'm not gonna go too deep into very technical thing. I think the next slide, this slide is sort of the most technical I'm gonna go for the entire presentation. So it's not going to be harder than this. And I tried to like find a good slide or pictures to explain just what is a large language model or why they work so well. And this is some screenshots I found from how this core technology called a transformer model works. And actually, inside the transformer, there's this thing called the attention module, which was a new thing when this is the name of the paper called Attention is All You Need. Very popular paper. You can Google it. It already came out in 2017. So what happens is this transformer was a totally new architecture, and it allowed this kind of very interesting training called a self-supervised training, which means you can just put a lot of text documents. Like that's why OpenAI and Google and all these big companies are just scraping the internet, downloading all kinds of websites and data and text data, because training is sort of self-supervised, which means you don't need a lot of human labor to do the labeling, which is like when we do image recognition, for example, you have to draw a box around something in the picture and say that this is a cat and this is a dog, or that's very labor intensive. But instead, with language, you can just the way it's self-supervised, it's this, you may have heard this next word prediction, where you put a paragraph of text as your input data and ask the model to predict just what the next word is going to be based on all the previous words that you have provided. And because you can train on such a large amount of internet data, through time, these models learn to associate the relationships with different words with each other. So for example, you can see in this slide, let's start from the upper left corner, where there's the sentence, the animal didn't cross the street because it was too tired. And now if you go through like each word, for example, we're now looking at it, we can see that the model has learned to associate different strengths of association between this word and all the other words in the sentence. It has learned. So you can see that the color is strongest between it and the animal. So it kind of correctly learned to know that this is a kind of a pronoun to replace or to refer to the animal. And that's very interesting because you don't need to teach the model that it refers to this. It just happens because you put so much data to it for it to see, and of all the sentences that include the word it slowly starts to build this kind of understanding of how different frequencies of these words appear together and are closely linked. So, and this other example on the lower right, you can also see that the pronoun she or he, the model also uh, learns to associate with different words that came before. Of course, you can see also this is very problematic because whatever the data is fed into the model, it also learns the biases. So here you can see, that it's not always, but usually the data seems to refer nurse as being a female and doctor being the male. And of course, this is a kind of bias in our society, but because the data is like that, when you train with the data from our society, the models also learns to build this kind of model where a nurse is automatically more associated with the female pronoun. So this is an area of a totally like its own research area called like this kind of bias in the data or in the model and equality. But I'm not going to go into the details. Just so you know that the amount of data and the size of these models like balloon from this initial transformers in 2017 to we use the model size, we call it parameter size, which roughly equals to how big the model is. So you can see that from 65 million parameters into something that's already over 1 trillion and could be even more with the bigger models. So this is like a short introduction of large language models. You just at this point you probably just need to know that they refer to this kind of technology, which can learn the association between words, and over time, the bigger it gets, the more data it's fed, becomes more and more effective. So let's go to other deconstructions. So let's take a look at app versus API. I'm going to look at these two together. And actually, we shouldn't maybe use the word versus, but it's more instead should be and, because you can see that in this API, the word application, the app is also referred. But let's go over, just my understanding of what app and API is. So first of all, app or application, for me, it's a very strong thing that something that's referring to not theoretical. Think about like applied sciences, not theoretical sciences, but something that you can take from the theory and apply into real world use. And in the application, the value comes through this use, right? So you have to make sure that it's easy to use for the users, and maybe also easy to build for you if you want to build it. And also potentially it's good if it has a large audience, because the more users it has, the greater overall utility and value, right? And usually also uh, what comes to this value creation, usually it boils down to do more with less. So either do more with the same cost or do the same thing but with less cost. Or the best situation, of course, is the combination of the two, where you can do more at the same time it's less cost. So this is like how we take this kind of theoretical things into actual use. We build applications. And what is this application programming interface then? It's something that enables the applications to talk to each other using code. So maybe first time humans have to set it up, but then after you set up all the connections and the links, I'm going to give an example later, so you don't have to I'm going to visualize it. But now you just know that there's connections um, between different programs and they talk to each other. But nowadays, as you probably learned yesterday, talking about coding in the age of AI, I think nowadays these large language models, which have these coding abilities like Copilot, or even you can talk to ChatGPT and let it generate some code. So it probably could also build this kind of connections between programs automatically. And speaking of automatically, the reason you want to do all these kind of links together is to increase automation, to reduce the amount of manual work you have to do by pushing data around. And again, it comes back to the application side, which is the higher degree of automation you can have, um, you can do more with less. And this is the next example is kind of a totally plausible payment API setup. But there are some real companies and then there are some fake companies. Maybe, I don't know if you can guess which ones are real and which ones are fake. Maybe if you watch the TV series Silicon Valley, you might know. You can leave some comments in the chat. I'll check it out later. But here you can see that all these arrows represent a kind of API in this very abstract sense. So let's see, there are maybe three people in this example where Alice, Bob, and Charlie all want to buy something from this company called Pied Piper, which makes the world's best compression products. And you can think about it like a wind zip, so it can compress your text and pictures and other data. And so you want to buy something, but how do you pay them? Uh, Alice is maybe using an Apple device, an iPhone or something, but she's also in China, so she will first go to an app, WeChat, that's integrated into the Apple ecosystem, and through that, uh, they probably don't have a direct payment method to Pied Piper, so instead they go through a kind of platform company, and this payment goes to some, yeah, them and then to the Pied Piper, which uses them. But if you're and maybe Alice couldn't use Visa because she's in China, so this API link doesn't really exist. But for someone else using Apple from a different country, they can also pay through Visa and PayPal and other methods. So you can see this kind of uh, a very beautiful mess. But what happens is people have once built these kind of connections and set them up so that users like Alice, Bob, and Charlie can use whatever ways they want to make sure that if they want to buy something here, it's easy, simple, and automated for Pied Piper to get their money and for these users to get the service or product. So it's just a way for the many different computer programs to talk to each other in a very automated way. Is maybe the high level understanding. That's enough because we're not gonna go into the details. If you want to learn about all these kind of things that I'm talking about today, yeah, of course, you can then go into the details. So finally, let's go through OpenAI. And it's funny thing because now everyone knows about ChatGPT, but actually in the very beginning, OpenAI was a very research-focused company, and they were known to build video game playing apps like the OpenAI 5, which is a totally like a virtual computer team that was playing Dota. And much like DeepMind's AlphaGo, this computer team was able to beat the humans that were the world champions in this game. So that's sort of the early days of OpenAI. And my experience with OpenAI started when I was back in 2000, actually 2000. Yeah, everyone knows that in the end of November 2022, they released ChatGPT, but actually, I could find at that point, like before this ChatGPT, they were also releasing image models. So you could write some sentences and say that please give me an image. This is similar to the Mid Journeys and other Gen AI tools that are available. But back then, like, yeah, I actually registered an account in the September of 2022 when I was trying to play around with the DALL-E, this image model. And I didn't realize that after I registered an account, I also got this OpenAI API, which can use to build bots, right? So it was, I think, end of the 2022 or early last year, maybe January or February, when I got an idea to build something that is similar to ChatGPT. So I find, okay, large language models interesting. Maybe I could build some cool stuff. And that's actually, I can trace back to February of last year when I wrote an article on LinkedIn where I was explaining like how I built my own ChatGPT bot for almost free. And I used less than 24 hours to get the first version out. And I'm also gonna give you now also the rundown of actually what I did. And this is just to see that after I released the article, the official ChatGPT API came. So actually, when I built it, there wasn't a ChatGPT API yet. Instead, I had to use an older version of a model, something like a GPT-3. But after they released ChatGPT in March, and after the GPT-4, the more powerful model came out also in March last year. As they say, the rest is history, because I think uh, everything or everyone talked about last year was about the chatbots and ChatGPTs. So how I was able then to build an app so quickly, I was using a platform called Streamlit. I had already heard about um, this service or this service for many years, but I actually didn't use it until last year, first time. And it's very easy to build this kind of simple but beautiful UIs with Python code. Again, so you have to know a little bit about Python, but once you are able to write some simple lines, and the outcome is pretty beautiful. It's simple web page, but it's still better looking than if I had to draw it from myself, because I'm not a front end engineer, and I'm definitely not a designer. So if I had to do something, it would be pretty ugly. And as you can see, like even with Streamlit, the first versions of my bot is not, it doesn't really look very good. And part of me, because some of it is in Chinese, I'm testing my bot both in Chinese and in English. But yeah, you can see that actually, even using the older GPT models from OpenAI, it could already uh, do some really cool stuff in language. And that's when I realized, hey, that there could be something behind this. And as you can see, like as time goes on, I was able to evolve my UI. Still not very good looking, but like my messages were on the right, the bot messages were on the right, left, and so on and so on. And this is just an email when I got access to GPT-4, which is a better model even. So my first bot was like really simple. But as you can see, like remember we talked about APIs earlier. So uh, we can draw the same kind of map that we had with the payment thing, but with now a real example where this is about my own app, where you can build the front end with the Streamlit, which then the user interacts with. So user only sees this. But in the back end, what happens is I build all these connections to other computer programs, right? So for OpenAI, I connected these ChatGPT models into my app. actually from stability, I connected Stable Diffusion to generate pictures. And from Microsoft Azure, I even connected text to speech, which I have a demo for you later on. So towards the end of my presentation, I can show a demo. So yeah, so one app, but then in the back, a lot of different features. But through APIs, I can connect them. So every time a user interacts with that, something in the back is being connected automatically. Okay, next I'm gonna talk about sharing, which is also a big part and one of the reasons I'm also talking to you guys today, because it's not only about building. Um, this website actually doesn't work anymore, but this is like a poster that I made because, again, when I built something like this and I wrote that LinkedIn article, um, in our office, in our company, uh, I showed this project to our CTO, and he was also asked that earlier in last year in March, we had a big sharing event inside our company about ChatGPT and all kinds of other Gen AI products. So I was asked to also give a talk about how I built this chatbot to my company. And that room was super packed. Like a lot of people came to listen because that was a very interesting topic. But unfortunately, my sharing was very short, so only 15 minutes there. Then I second time I was able to share was actually with my son's school. So my son is going to elementary school, and that was back in March, also. So March of last year, there was a 30-minute talk. I could demonstrate AI. The general topic was AI. So not just large language models, but in general, and it was based on a children's book about AI. So okay, I'm sorry, there was some some noise from the audience, so maybe just keep it, guys down. Mm. Okay. So the interesting thing is, yeah, I ended my sharing of the school in the school with this one of the chatbot demos that I made just a few weeks earlier. So as you can see, and I hope this sound comes through because there is this Microsoft text to voice, text to speech, which should start now.
你好呀，圆周率简称 Tianyi Pan 是一个数学乘法，代表的是一个语言组成和一个音阶的比值。通常它被定义为3.14159。你知道吗？派这
Yeah, I'm gonna just stop it here, but you can see that like I added that whenever it's outputting text, it also reads it out. And this was like a hugely popular thing in the class because you can see that I specifically used a voice that is like a children's voice, and they I was letting the students ask questions about the bot. So they would ask all kinds of things that they learned from school, and they were testing the bot with that information. And it was kind of funny, and they really loved that demonstration. So as I said, I used Streamlit, and except for my initial chatbot, I also started to experiment with other bots. So you probably heard about prompting. So it's like telling the language model what you want, and it can evoke behavior. So on the left here, which is a bot I built that got featured on Streamlit. Actually, I collaborated with them to write a blog post, and this was called a Chat GDP, which is a cat bot. So you can talk with someone who is like a cat. So my prompt was that you are a cat, you are supposed to reply in this kind of all kinds of catisms, and the sort of use a very cat, internet cat, lolcat, this kind of language. And also you can see the pictures. So I added this through the API to Stable Diffusion. I added a picture generating model, and through this collaboration, I was able to get some cool swag from Streamlit. They sent me as a thanks for writing the um, writing the blog. And on the right side, there's also like I changed a little bit of prompt, and then you can do a Buddhist bot. So someone who talks like a Buddhist master, which is also very funny. So this just goes to show you that with some easy prompting, you're able to do all kinds of stuff. But prompting is also very dangerous because it's easy to mess up. Like this is the normal behavior of my chatbot, right? But then a friend of mine sent a picture where he was able to hack the chatbot to become a dog. So now the behavior changed totally. And he even further hacked this chatbot to become, you can see it's the same bot because the icon is the same. But now instead of a cat or a dog, it's a hacker man, or it's a Counter-Strike player. So like you can use prompting and adversarial sort of attacks to change the behavior of the bot, which is actually something that they made into an actual thing. So if you are interested to play this kind of game, you can go to a service called Gandalf, and your job is to hack basically the uh, the bot that is trying to protect a password. But you can do all kinds of prompt hacking to make it reveal the answer. And the higher level you go, the more difficult it becomes. But this is one of these kind of hacking competition where you don't have to know anything about coding, and you can still try to hack it because you can just use your natural language, use English, and to hack it. And sometimes, if you implement this kind of chat GPT in your website, it can lead to very interesting results where someone can prompt engineer a chat GPT chatbot on a car dealership to agree to sell you a new car for $1. Of course, this is not like I don't think this holds in court, but it just show you how easy it's to uh, hack it. And so what do you do when you want to have a bot that can have more sort of um, an authentic answer, not hallucinated or something. So if you remember a service called Chat PDF, which allows you to upload a PDF, then ask different questions. So how did they made it work? Because PDFs can be very long, right? And then the ChatGPT memory is very short. It can only put in something like 4,000 words. So how can you upload such a long PDF? And that's the answer, but it's very difficult to understand. So I just translate it in, I hope I made it easier to understand. So what happens is they actually split the documents to very small pieces. And then when you ask a question, it searches through all these pieces, but it only matches the relevant parts. So they use some kind of metric to see which paragraphs are closest to your question, which means they're more relevant. And they only put maybe top 10 or top 5 paragraphs into the ChatGPT memory. So then it can answer based on the partial document. So it's not the full document. And that's called retrieval augmented generation, that technology that you also should know about. So it's a technology that helps you combat this kind of hallucination, because instead of like a direct answer from the question, using the ChatGPT's sort of internal memory. You instead ask a third party data provider, and maybe it searches something from your question and it retrieves. That's where the retrieval comes from. It searches and retrieves some relevant documents compared to your question. And based on only this document, it summarizes an answer for you. So then you can be sure that the answers are coming from at least some kind of source which you can check. And of course, I had to also try to build something myself. And sorry again that this is in different language, but actually this is in Finland. And I the reason I built this bot is I saw the in Finland there's the tax office which you deal with every year when you file your taxes to your tax returns. And I saw that they were advertising that, okay, they have like a chatbot in their official website. And I was like, for sure, I can build a better chatbot than that you have in your website, because I was asking some question and it couldn't really answer, these very bad chatbots where the results are not very good. Obviously, you don't understand anything because it's in Finnish, but the reason I was able to make it work is I used this RAG thing where when I ask a question, it actually goes to first search a database of all the pages in their own website, and then it will return all the relevant pages only. So for example, I can ask, how can I, reduce the amount of tax I pay every year? Because everyone is interested in that. You don't want to pay too much taxes, right? And then it actually finds some information, and even here it shows the sources. So I can click these links and go to the actual web pages where it tells you how to do all these kind of tax deductions, so you can pay less tax. Okay. And then final bit about sharing. Why I did all these kind of thing is also because last year, actually, I was referred to this event and Orlando by IDAR from a different organization called Unpack. And I held a training session for 2 weeks, also to how to build a chatbot. One of the interesting things about this project was actually the process was we prompted the ChatGPT and let it generate the code for building itself, basically. Of course, the first time I coded it manually, but then when I was giving the course, I was prompting the bot and sort of trying to get it to generate the code that will run successfully. And sometimes it doesn't always work. So part of the fun maybe is this kind of a failure and debugging and discovering and fixing the bugs. So yeah, this is something I learned all over these years and especially last year. So the time is almost up. So I'm gonna give you guys with some takeaways, which I want to share. So first of all, again, coming back to the sort of a career change theme, maybe the direction is not very sorry, the background is not very important because you can always sort of do these kind of career transitions. But I think more important is to sort of take a look around, pick a direction, and sometimes maybe the speed is also important, like the direction and the speed where you're going. And something about learning is I found it very useful to always be curious. And, you can see from my own hobby projects that I did when I was learning. I started with problems in my real life. And yes, being angry at my friends who are passing me in the score of like this petty problem with the game was also very good problem, actually, because it gave me motivation to beat them. Because sometimes when you try to learn some toy project or toy problem from your study notes, there's no motivation because it doesn't connect with your life. Taking examples and problems from your own life is more motivating. and sharing, you know. I kept notes, I wrote LinkedIn articles, I went to offline events and online events to share my journey. At the very least, they will help, you know, the next you, to someone who is coming after you in their own journey. They can now find your writing and tutorials. And at the best of the cases, it can even lead you to more opportunities like I did with my current work. And, you know, as I said earlier, mistakes are just part of the journey. I think we all need to learn to embrace them, these mistakes and setbacks, and because that's where the actual growth, the real growth happens. And of course, with these mistakes, now connecting this last point back to the first one, through these mistakes, we can know maybe if our direction is wrong, and we can also adjust that if necessary. And just before closing everything, I just want to show a few of my other projects just very quickly that I've done during this past year. So you can see from large language models, you can do a lot of different things. I built actually a set of 4 different bots for a real estate design company, an entertainment company. I made a chatbot about the UK financial accounting standards. This is similar to the Finnish tax office thing, right? Financial question and answer. And also like a WeChat group administrator to help you onboard new members to a group chat. Maybe maybe if you have a WeChat group, you could use this kind of bot. It would be quite cool to have one, maybe. And the last page, yeah, again, a question answer bot to an investment group about Chinese tax and regulations. So you can see the same kind of pattern. People are interested but they don't want to read long text, so they just want to ask questions from a ready-made database. And finally, an ed tech company, education technology, built something with multiple agents that help you learn and grade your assignments. I think in the future, you guys are gonna have maybe tomorrow someone who is gonna talk about AI and tech and learning in education. So this maybe also connects with your future topics. So that was my talk for today. Maybe next up could be your project. So if you're interested, we can talk. This is my WeChat ID QR code. You can scan it to connect with me. Or if you don't have WeChat, you can just email me or just find me on my Xiaopan AI website. So with this, I open up the floor for question and answer if you have.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was very interesting. And I'm sure everyone was loving it from the comment in the chat box. So guys, wherever you are, just begin to send in your appreciation message as always. And as well, you can use the feature here to raise your hand if you have questions. We're going to be taking our questions, so you can also send your question in the chat box, or if you want to interact directly with the speaker, you can raise your hand and then we're going to recognize you to ask your question. So I think a couple of hands are coming up.
Maybe I need some help. Yeah, maybe you can help moderate the questions because there were so many comments. I can't keep up the chat.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna do that. Okay, so let's take Henren Vala. Henren Vavle Sangbe. Henren, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Presenter, for your presentation. It was very much informative, and I learned a lot for the meet. But I have this question. How can I use OpenAI response based on my own data, like to serve as a customer service representative? Like I have my data tables. Maybe I don't know if you know other programming language like JavaScript, that use Nest.js, that use ORM like Prisma and so. So like I have my data in the database, and then I want ChatGPT to generate response based on my data, not generate the public data out there, on the data that is in my database.
Okay, so let me just try to rephrase the question. You can also make sure I understand it correctly. So you're asking, especially using some other programming languages than Python, for example, JavaScript, because it sounds like you are a front-end developer and you want to engage ChatGPT APIs with your own data, right? You have data in some
Yes,
kind of
please.
database.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So actually this is a very good question because there are actually several ways you can solve that problem. One way is using the rack I just showed you. So you have some set of documents and you can split these up and you know put them into a vector database, and based on some questions, you can then match the top matches and then return that, send it to the ChatGPT. Like this is like a very, I don't want to go too much into detail. If you want, you can then find me later and write email or add me on WeChat or something. But on a high level, RAG is one way, and then with OpenAI APIs, there's a different way also where you can build this kind of custom functions for the bot to use. So whenever you have maybe one of the functions is to perform a database query, it's maybe SQL language, or you said you are using some other query language. So
It's SQL, the ORM is just Prisma, it's SQL.
Yeah. For example, SQL. So if you show in the description of this tool or function, the approximate schema of your database, then ChatGPT can learn to convert your natural language query into a SQL query, and then it can call this function to perform the search and then take whatever the answer is, the results, and then return it to you in that chat message. These are like very high level ways you can architect. If we want to go into the details of how to actually realize some of these, yeah, let's talk.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so please, the email on the screen, this is your email.
Yeah, please send email
I'm not into that. I don't have a WeChat.
Yeah, no problem. You can send me email there, and just refer that you were at the OWCC and saw my presentation. Okay.
Okay, so let's take one question from the chat box and then we come back to those raising their hand. There's a question here from Tianyi Pan. Tianyi Pan is asking, please, what algorithm was used in your box office AR project for making predictions?
Okay. Good question. That was a very old project. That was before this kind of generative AI and large language models. Actually, it was more to do with the tabular models and a linear regression model. If you like, these are sort of the basics of machine learning. Actually, a linear model you can also just do in Excel. It's as simple as that. But I used the Python. I think it was scikit-learn. Yeah, scikit-learn was one of these. So I'll type it in the chat so you know how to spell it. Scikit-learn is one of the Python packages that you can use to do this kind of a simpler, old school machine learning. So when I say old school, I mean before the deep neural networks or deep learning. Yeah.
Okay. So now, Emmanuel Che, you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Emmanuel Che. Yeah, go ahead, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you are unmuted, but we can't hear you. Okay, so while waiting for Emmanuel, let's get one question from the chat box. There's a question here from Maham.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Emmanuel. We can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Presenter, for such a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, my question is there any specific programming language that these AIs recommend to work along with, like trying to code something like you want to use ChatGPT for help? Is there a specific programming language that these AIs, let's say, reference you to use?
Okay, that's a very good question. Actually, for this answer, I'm just gonna go to a different slide where, you know, there was a picture about APIs. So actually, when I built this, it's mostly using the Python APIs, but this is not the whole picture because, for example, OpenAI's API, there is also I think there's a JavaScript version, so you can use it with JavaScript, and you can also use almost all of these APIs with any language that supports HTTP requests because in the back end, they're actually just like HTTP servers listening to your calls. So you can even use your command line and write a curl call, curl call to these addresses and get an API response back. So the Python API is just for convenience. They build it so you can use Python functions to call them. But in the back end or in the very low level, it's just a web address that you can use your you know your so even if you are a Python, you don't install the OpenAI package. You can use a simple HTTP request to interact with these APIs. So there's no specific language, but for some languages like JavaScript and Python, there are these kind of convenient packages that you can use to help you. And I recommend using Python
No.
just because it's simple.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. So let's get this question from Maham in the chat box. He said, I think based on everything you talk, right? How long it took you to learn all the programming languages or the programming things that you use, like machine learning and the coding logic concept? What resources you use from where you started? And he's kind of a curious, like you transitioning, how long did it take you to learn all these things?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think so I sort of started learning this kind of online courses I mentioned, like Coursera and the other one, Udacity. That was maybe in 2016 and 17. And then I worked, so I joined this AI company in 2019. So there was like a 3-year interval. But during this time, I was also working in a e-commerce company, sort of half transitioning because I said I worked as product manager and even partial CFO. These are all because of my previous jobs uh, before I made the transition. So in between, I worked um, at this kind of a role where I had some time to do my hobby projects, and sometime at the work, I was able to play around with the data because it was an e-commerce company. So there's a lot of customer and product data to play around with, right? So online courses, tutorials, YouTube videos, blogs, like these are all, and like the best part, I think, is that most of these resources are free. And of course, this kind of chat groups where you can talk with each other and share your projects, I think these are really good resources. And then like it's all about finding interesting projects from your life around you. Yeah, that helps you get motivated.
Okay. Let's get Joseph Dolo. We have so many questions and the time is coming up, but let's get Joseph Dolo. Joseph, you are there. Please unmute yourself quickly. Joseph Dolo.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead, Joseph.
Okay. Firstly, let me appreciate our presenter today. He's done extremely well, especially for the part of which he did talked about a transitioning from one profession to another, and going along the story was very interesting, and actually is the motivation to us all that we can carry on. I think for the past time I've been following this program, this particular introductory part you carry on today was actually different. Yeah. So now, my question is: are there any difference between APIs APIs and web services? And also, having to do with APIs, are there protocols specifically used to testing APIs?
Okay, so are APIs different from web services, and are there some frameworks to help you build APIs and test them, right? Something along that line. I have to admit, like, I'm actually not a very, as you can see, that I learned also from scratch. So I actually don't necessarily know like the actual difference between API and web service, even if there is a difference. My own understanding is the API in itself is a kind of service, but it's something it doesn't have, a front end. It doesn't have like a flashy, this kind of UI for you to do, but instead it's something that it's a machine that is connected to the internet, and it's waiting for some connections from other machines. And if there's a connection coming in that is formed in a specific way according to the documentation, then it will perform some task and then give you back a result. So in a way, it's this kind of automated input and output processing thing. And actually, this is a good timing with your question, because lately I have been experimenting with building APIs myself, and also like I find it's simple to use some kind of convenience tools in Python, specifically something called Fast API. So I'm gonna put that name also in the chat. So Fast API for Python is something that you can get started quite quickly. There are some tutorials. Basically, with that, you can quite quickly build some kind of server to listen to connections. And then whatever you do with the connection is up to you. Like you can put up a server that listens to your calls from a front end to a chatbot, and then converts that message into GPT API, sends to OpenAI, takes the response back, and then gives the response to the front end. So you can build something as simple as that.
Okay. So let's get this one from Sabani. Sabani, please unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you so much. I was really very impressed about Tianyi, who gave us a good explanation and more deeper in AI and the IPS, and how he was motivated, or the way along from where he was. He told us like I was being a soldier, but the career I wanted it before, it never been like that. I started with Bang, video editor, stuff like that, where he was using different application which is involved in making film. But later he found himself, he had this kind of like a career of which he never thought that he can manage it, but he felt like, let me do it because I feel like my destiny should be this one. At the end, he found himself, he has to be involved in it. So I'm really very impressed about his attitude and his career. And actually me too, I'm a master's student in China. I'm doing AI transportation engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, my courses involved much into robots, We are doing so many projects in robots, making
Ah,
robots delivered food delivered robots and different robots. So me too. Before in my bachelor degree, I was much involved in the C programming, Java, and the PHP. But
yeah.
when I get into master's degree, that's when I found like there is something I missed too much. That was Python. And through Python, there are so many programming and so many applications involved that we need to learn so that we can achieve more. That's why I found like chat GPT is confusing us where I make some research about different information on my different countries, especially like I'm coming from Rwanda. I'm a Rwandese. And when I'm looking for some information from Rwanda, they give me some information of which is not really real one. They give you a name which is not supposed to be defined like it is the way you know it. So I felt like the way you made your application, the procedure you gave us, is really useful. I think me too, I will think about stuff like this one to make something useful to my country because it's really useful and meaningful for me. I think I can make something of which anyone, in case you want to use this application, I can make so that everyone want to know about my country or anything related to this region or anything. He will get the real information, the real definition concerned to this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like it's best if you can get something from your own life, build something that is useful. And as you said, when you use ChatGPT, maybe there was like a direct answer and there was some hallucination with the information because, the chatbot is trained to generate stuff. It might not be the actual fact. So you might need to build something like a RAG thing that will there's some real facts, maybe from Wikipedia or from web search or whatever, some credible source that you have defined, and then give you the answer. Yeah.
So we have so many questions, but then I want to appeal to you guys that we cannot take all of the questions. So
Yeah,
let's
I
take
think there
three
are
more
so many
questions.
questions in the chat as
Yeah,
well. I'm sorry, I cannot answer all. Yeah,
yeah,
but
so
if
many questions. So let's
you
just
can
take
email
three
me.
more.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
email me if I didn't get back to you.
okay. So let's just take three more questions and then we will call it a day for our speaker. Somebody
Okay.
wants to know from the chat box, which type of tools are convenient to set up a large language model? Python should be the programming language instead of Python? The question is, can you use our language? Can the LLM model suitable for healthcare analysis? So I think basically
There,
he wants to know which tools you use for LLM models.
right. Which tools? Well, this is like quite a large question. Like I think there's like a different questions. Yeah, I found a question myself too. So there's many questions built into one. I think I'm not able to answer all of them, but let's say one question was, instead of Python, can we use R language? I think R is a kind of you, so the way I understand R is that it's used for mostly like data analysis and this kind of statistical analysis. And its closest equivalent in Python could be uh, pandas, which also has these data frames. So you can sort of view R as a kind of subset of what Python can do. Python is more generic. So in Python, you can have a piece of it which is close to R, but then in Python, you can have other tools that do other kind of things like interact with the LLM. The issue with healthcare, in my own opinion, is it's very sort of mission critical. Like if you do some mistakes, if you hallucinate some answer which is not true, the potential outcome and risk is very high because it deals with human health, right? So, but you can always find some parts of the whole big business or this industry where you can do something. Like these large language models are good at generating stuff. So maybe you can find some small niche in this industry where there's a lot of text generation required, but people need to write a lot and they sort of get bored quickly and there's no much value, in spending so much time in doing kind of reports and stuff like that. Or the doctors have to spend a lot of time typing in something that they could maybe uh speak to a machine and then it will transfer them into a kind of report. So this kind of thing where it's not so mission critical, I think it's perfectly okay to use something, but maybe not use it as a sort of a medical doctor giving you advice. Yeah.
Okay, so I think, guys, what we're going to do is this. Yesterday, you saw a demonstration on how to use ChatGPT, and also I shared a link. So some of these questions, you can also make use of the training by going to ChatGPT and ask. So it's also a way of learning as well. But let's take Tomba James, the last question for today. And when I'm sharing the list again of various AI tools that you can make use of, you can also ask some of your question to those tools or websites. So, Tomba James, are you there? Can you please unmute yourself and
there.
ask?
I hope you guys are getting me. Thank you very much,
Yes,
Mr.
we're getting.
Tianyi Pan.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for the presentation. It was really nice. Like a lot
Thank
of
you.
us are inspired, like how you transition from one career to the other, of which a lot of people are also interested in the same thing. Like
That's
it's
great.
not all of us that are here that are like into AI as per now, but with the stories like the one you've given, we are able to transition and we've seen how the future is moving on, like where the future is going. And of course, we should know, how these things come about and how are we able to fix ourselves in a place where we can be able to get something and prepare for a better future that's coming. My question was just was based on your presentation. We've talked about chatbot, like building some sort of a game, because of your friends were like leading, like scoring. It was more of like a problem to you, and you had to solve it by building a bot that would automate the game for you and play it overnight and found it like the next day when you're already leading and 200,000. Of course, to some people it's possible, it's happening, and when we go back later we shall come in to know about things to do with the data you might use, build that kind of a bot, the APIs. Like what I just wanted to know is like what is the sort of connection, like how are these things connected? Like let's say if you were able to build that kind of a bot that automated the work for you and played that game till morning, what sort of like the languages, what sort of like things did you put together? Like the languages, we had about languages, the APIs at this side here, the data, they were to come up with that whole system that automated something. We might also be interested in the same field. We might have the data, we might have the languages like the Python, like maybe some of us want to learn them and use it and apply it in a different field later, like come up with some sort of solution, something that will solve whatever kind of problem they have. I just wanted to know, like, how is the connection? Like, how is this connection coming about? Because we all know that there might be a data you need to train certain kind of thing, or maybe to create some sort of a bot that will let you do that kind of job based on the data you fed it with. So I just want to know, like, the connection, the languages, the data, the like all these things. How are they connected? Maybe we'll try it somewhere. Thank you.
Okay. This is also quite a big question to ask. Like, what is the connection between training data and stuff? So maybe something I want to show, because your question was about uh this game or game playing bot. So here, because today's topic was more about large language models, right? And these projects I built earlier was more like a vision. So the training data is actually just a screenshot of the game, as you can see it, the kind of a rectangle. Or if I have the pen, I think I can. So maybe you take a screenshot of the screen And then afterwards, you use that as a training, and you put it mark the place where you have to jump next. And this is kind of like, I think, a trial and error. So when you ask about what kind of languages, I do most of the stuff first of all in Python. So Python is really something that just that's enough, I think, for now. And then within the Python, you have a lot of sort of libraries that you can use. So I got all these from the video I was watching, but something to do with the image processing is like you can do with OpenCV, which CV is computer vision. So you do a lot of this kind of screenshot grabbing and processing images and saving them in OpenCV. So it depends on what area you want to specialize. Like early on, I did a lot of computer vision, so I know more about OpenCV. I actually don't know much about large language models, which you could see. Like when I was trying to explain this transformer thing, I'm not an expert in large language models. I'm more like, or I'm not an expert in the depth, like how it works. I only know more about the application side. So I'm more close to the use cases than knowing like what the detail model is. That's sort of where I want to put myself, like close to use cases in the real world. So yeah, so training data and how you train the large language models, it's more sort of a mystery to me. But the vision models, actually, you can also find me on LinkedIn. Tianyi Pan, my name is there, and I wrote also more articles. You can go and check out all the articles that I wrote there. So also about this project actually. So I wrote quite a lot of articles about the box office project. I shared all the process, so the first mistakes, how I changed direction, and finally made it into this score on the right. So it's not like a straightforward, I just decided I want to be the top player. I used something like a whole month, 1 month time to get it to work. Yeah, it wasn't like an overnight thing.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Tianyi Pan. Thank you so much for being here today. It was wonderful, and I hope that we can have you some days in the future. Thank you so much. And yeah, we
Thank
look
you,
forward to seeing
Olano.
you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming up. Yeah, you want to do the end of session check-in or something, right?
Yeah.
Before you forget.
Okay, guys. Yeah, sure. Yeah, guys, whatever you are now, just turn on your cameras. You can stop sharing, or let me just do that for my end. Okay, that's good. Just turn on your cameras. Let's take our attendance for today. And right after the attendance, you can stay if you are interested in somebody using HP. How can we know if that name was, something else? Okay, so I'm going to take the fresh screen. Please do not send messages at this time because it's going to cover up somebody's face. So just wait. Do not send any message in the chat box. It's going to cover up somebody's face. I'm taking a fresh screen now. I will let you know once I'm done. Then you can send your message or messages. I'm taking a second screen now because yesterday some people's faces were covered up. And we have to go back to the video. Somebody's still sending message. We have to go back to the video to verify. So just stick
Yeah,
around, guys.
just send me email. I'll leave my email to the chat also because I'm not able to answer all the questions, and I'm gonna go back. I saw so many people added me on WeChat also. I will add you back one at a time. So please give me some time. There's so many people. Sorry about that.
Okay, so guys, please do not send message now, please. I will let you know once I'm done, please. You'll cover somebody's face. Yeah. I can't keep waiting to go back to that again. Obviously, as you will see it, somebody's face is going to be covered up. Please do not send message.
I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Yeah, there's over 200 people. You can.
Yeah, it's going to cover it up because I have to send this to them. Yeah, because not everyone is going to get a certificate except you attend 5 days or more. So the only way that we can verify that is to do this attendance. One more, guys, one more.
I think people are saying that they're not able to open the camera in the chat. Maybe it's just
yeah,
some kind
it's
of
okay. I will still
restriction.
capture their name.
Yeah.
I will still capture their name, so it's okay.
Maybe there's some limitation.
So yeah. Okay, I think I'm done. I think I'm done, but then somebody's also doing a backup of the attendance. So we're going to verify in 2 ways. So again, if you're not seeing your name, please, we have so many ways to verify. You can also use the YouTube China to also verify your attendance, or you can check the videos. Let me just do a backup of it here. I'm doing a backup of it now so that in case you are not seeing your name, we can still come back here and verify. We don't want to leave anyone out on this certificate thing. Okay. And because of time, we cannot talk about all of the various websites. So what I would advise you to do is to just take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of this. We talked about some of them yesterday. So just take a screenshot of it. I don't know if you can see my screen. Okay, I'm coming. So what you have to do is just take a screenshot of it, and then that should be good. I'm coming. Just a minute. Right after this one, you are free to leave. Okay. So now let's take a look at the first list. So we talk about ChatGPT and the link, how to access ChatGPT. Also Copilot, how to access Copilot, and Bing AI search. All of these guys, we talked about them yesterday. So just take a screenshot of the first 5 we talked about yesterday. And the links are all there. You can take your time and go through it and get to learn about them and how useful they can be for whatever thing you are doing. So today, let's show you what we have for you today. Pexels, if you want to get some stock videos or pictures, you can also use that. So some of you listen to the music that is behind the TIT videos and stuff. So that music was not produced by somebody. It was produced or made by this second website. I use that to, all you have to do, just read the lyrics and you input the lyrics and it's going, you can also choose the style you want it in or the genre of it. If you want it in reggae, hip hop, or whatever, Afrobeat or whatever thing you want it in. And then it's going to give you that. I'm going to play the music so that you can listen to it and you tell me if actually it's human voice or it's AI voice. So these are all of what we have for you today. Take a screenshot of them, and then you can go and explore and see how best you can use it for your career or for whatever you have. So let me just play this sound, and then you tell me if the sound you are hearing is, I don't know, show. Let's play the first one.
Welcome to the future with TIT. Learn with us, grow with us. We say, connect. Build, develop, and impact with a TIT.
So you listen to that one, it's more of like a person syncing or human syncing, but that was made with the second website.
Look home to over. Need 2024, you say. TIT. We say connect, build. Develop and impact. TIT for the best.
So the last one on that one is Canvas. Most of the flyers and designs that I do, I use Canvas for that. So all of the designs you see here is also a very, very free website. You can use it to do all of your designs and everything. So the list that we sent you, make use of them, please. And for now, that's all for today. Thank you so much for being here. We have 1 minute officially on the dot. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording, and if you want to interact or you want to say something else, you can talk about it. But officially, let's call it a day. As we told you always, we start on time and we end on time. So let's keep it up to that. Thank you so much for being here today.